All right. Mic check. All right. You still know what that means. I'm good. Glad to hear it. Mic check. Is everyone in the back? Listening? All right, cool. I see a fist. Cool. All right. New York can hear us. That's good. Okay. My name's Carl. How's everyone doing? All right. It feels a little weird going after Alicia because I was planning on saying the same thing. So if it sounds a little repetitive, I apologize. I just want to start out by saying when I was 19, I used to work for a labor union down in San Francisco and also New York. And one thing that we learned in that union was a story about a strike that they had done a decade before. And the strike lasted 6 years. At that point, it was the longest strike in U.S. history. And people were on the picket line. This was in Las Vegas, day after day after day, for 6 years in a row. There were people who started the strike who didn't live to see the end of it. People had children on the picket line, not on the picket line, but while they were on the picket line, had children, were born. That's how long the strike was. And, when you're in that struggle for that long, you can sometimes your morale can get low, right? You can feel demoralized. You can feel like we're never going to win this. But the mantra that the union had and that they taught me and that I want to pass on to you is when someone would ask, when are we going to end this struggle? They said, brothers and sisters, one day longer. One day longer we will be out here. Just one day longer. And then you're there the next day, and if you don't win, you go one day longer until you win, because we're going to win. We don't have a choice. It's a matter of survival for some of us. In fact, most of us at this point, we don't have a choice but to struggle because we have to survive and because we're suffering. All right? So just remember that. And I want to just say a few words about why Occupy exists, why I'm a part of it, and why I hope that many of you are out here and will continue to come out. It can't be a thing of, for me, this is not about taking on an issue that concerns me or reading something in the paper that upsets me. It's about what happens to me on a day-to-day basis as a worker. So I think what we need to remember and what Occupy has to be about is identifying who you are in the world. Who are you? What situation are you in? Who is responsible for that situation? What is your history? What is our history as a people? Who gave us the things that we have today? It wasn't Wall Street. I'll give you a hint. It wasn't Wall Street. It was people like you and me. It was workers standing up, organizing, and fighting, going to jail, being beaten, being tortured, and dying in many cases by the hundreds and the thousands, sacrificing everything they had because they knew that it was a matter of survival. It wasn't a hobby. It wasn't something they did on the weekends. It was something that they did every free second they had of their day because they knew that if they didn't, that their children wouldn't survive, that they wouldn't survive, that they wouldn't have a home, that they wouldn't have a job to go back to because the rich were stealing their jobs, taking them offshore or laying them off so that they could increase their profits. That's why we have an 8-hour workday. That's why we have the weekend. That's why we have some sort of system of public support for those who are suffering. It's because workers struggled and suffered. So identifying who you are as a person and where you are in the world is key to this movement's success. We have to really love ourselves and understand that it's not a thing of necessarily just helping other people, although solidarity and mutual aid are very important concepts. But it's not just about charity and helping other people. It's about identifying where are you being abused, how are you being abused. How many of you are workers out there? Raise your hand if you work for a living for someone else. All right, so every one of you has some reason to be in the struggle at least. How many of you have faced foreclosure or are renters? Anyone rent out there? Everyone out there, who's lacking health care out there? Anyone without health care? All right, so everyone that raised your hand, and probably the rest of you too, have a reason to be in the struggle, and it's personal. It's deeply personal. It's about you, and you have to love yourself first in order to get involved in the struggle and realize that you are worth it as a person, and you don't deserve to be stomped on, to have a boot on your neck. You don't deserve to be poor. You don't deserve to be put out of your house. You don't deserve a minimum wage. You deserve everything as a human being and as a worker because you create the wealth. You create everything that exists in this society. You deserve all of it. So it's not about asking for a handout. It's about demanding what is yours and loving yourself as a person. It's very easy to come out here and hold up a sign for some, the cause of the day, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a whole nother thing to realize that you are tired of being a slave, of being a servant to Wall Street, and saying to yourself that I'm going to do whatever it takes to get their boot off my neck and to get back what they've stolen from me. That's a whole nother thing. It takes courage, and most of all, it takes loving yourself. So that's what I want y'all to do, is to take a second, and over the next few days and weeks and months, start to love yourselves enough to stand up for yourself when someone is taking advantage of you and robbing you as your employers and your landlords, and as this government does every single day. So the last thing I want to say is, people have said this already, you hear a lot from the media that Occupy is dead. Okay, that's great. Occupy Chicago today has 25 actions going on, just today, all throughout the city of Chicago. Minneapolis and Philadelphia have reoccupied public spaces. The Occupy movement is far from dead. Either we're dead, either the media is full of lies, or we're just a bunch of crazy zombies out here. Either way, we're scary as hell to Wall Street. So this event is called the Spring Awakening. We called that for a reason. We want you to stay involved. Many of you were there, I hope, on October 15th at City Hall, when we rallied at City Hall. And in the subsequent weeks and months that we occupied City Hall for the 99%, okay? We might not do that again, but we need to stay engaged in the struggle. Every person here, go to the Occupy table, find someone with an Occupy sign-up sheet, get on that list, and if you can just donate an hour or two of your time a week to something that we're doing, stay in the struggle, please. We need everyone here. Occupy is much more than an organization that you join. It's a movement and it's an idea, and most of all, like I said, it's about you loving yourself and understanding that you have a stake in the struggle, just like me, just like everyone here. So it's about building that collectivity. So please stay engaged and pay attention. Look at OccupySantaRosa.org. We have meetings, events, actions, forums, educational events every day of the week that y'all can get involved in. And now that the weather is nice, hopefully we'll do more stuff outside again, because that was really fun. The last thing I want to say is we're going to start a parade for the 99%. Right after I get done speaking, and Tessa's going to say a few words. We're going to assemble over here behind the band. We have signs here. Please pick them up. We have banners. We have puppets. We're going to parade around the block to celebrate the last 6 months of this movement, to say that we are still here, and we are still alive, and we are still fighting. Most importantly, what we could really use from y'all right now, before we march, is that this movement is built on a lot of things. It's built on ideas and energy and passion and anger. But one thing that we do need as well is money to keep building our capacity. We don't have staff. We don't pay for an office. The Peace and Justice Center is our de facto home base, and they don't demand a single cent from us because they're awesome and they know what they exist for. So we are at the Peace and Justice Center.